After 5 rallies across the globe, from the roads of Poland to the mountains of Argentina, we arrive in the United States for this season's climax, and it's not going to be an easy finish. Large rocks hidden amongst the grass are there to pose a danger to the mighty, and with plenty to decide throughout the championship, this will be a thoroughly tense affair. Softy has won 4 this season, but the gap over his rival Roy is at just 5 points. A second place finish here will be enough to win in the title. Roy must win and hope Softy is no higher than 3rd. The opening leg in the United States was a tricky 7.7 mile run through North Fork Pass, and it was Softy who set the pace early on, a time that was 6.6 seconds quicker than his title rival Roy. Dan was hoping to improve on his best result of the season so far, 4th in Argentina, but a puncher no sooner after setting strong pace, the Mitsubishi runner was left to fight his car to the finish, eventually setting the 15th quickest time. Dom just needed to beat Zack by a single place to take 3rd overall, but it was a disastrous start with this error alone losing him 10 seconds. Dom sitting 10th and already 15 seconds behind Zack. This an event Roy was aiming to win, the Irishman would lose a further 2 seconds to Softy through the second stage. Despite only needing a second place finish, it appeared Softy was still risking it all to end the season with victory. Luca cruelly lost out on victory in the R5s back in New Zealand, a mistake on the final stage costing him a first career win. These vehicles suit the Manxman though, and he was 3rd quickest through Hancock Hill Sprint reverse, now 15 seconds clear of Zack behind. Dan moved himself up 6 places to 9th, despite his puncher on the previous run, he was still in touching distance to those ahead. The heavens opened for the 3rd stage and the conditions appeared to catch out the race leader. Cutting a corner, the slippery conditions half spun around Softy, and this mistake along with Roy's quick time meant the gap at the front was down to 3.5 seconds. Luca has shown he's capable of fighting for wins if things can fall into place for him, but his all or nothing approach would once again end his chances early on. This huge impact with a rock left Luca with a puncher, and the VW runner would fall to 5th. Phil was the big mover, passing not only Luca, but Zack as well. He was now 3rd overall, and suddenly his chances of beating Dom in the championship were looking pretty good. Just 12 seconds was the difference though, between Zack in 4th and Dom down in 8th. Roy was continuing to look good through stage 4, he was a couple of seconds quicker than Softy in the first 2 splits. But a misjudgment through this corner left his car on its side, and when he was handed an 8-second time penalty, all of his hard work had been undone. These treacherous conditions would catch out Phil next. A puncher was the result of this impact, and he would fall 2 places to 5th. Former 2-time champion Chris Thurgood had been off the pace all season, his best result so far being 7th in Australia. But here he looked to at least found some of his old form, sitting 6th overall, just 5 seconds back of Zack in 3rd. The longest stage of the rally was a real chance for Roy to close that gap to Softy, but going just 2 seconds quicker than his rival, it looked like his previous stage blunder had ultimately cost him the win. Zack, Phil, Dan and Chris were all continuing their fierce battle for 3rd, now just 2.5 seconds was the difference between these 4 runners. Chris Thurgood was the quickest of these drivers through Beavers Creek Trail forward, and was looking to carry the momentum with him into the final leg. Dom meanwhile passed Luca for 7th, but just half a second split these 2 Manxmen. Going into the final stage, Softy's lead was the 11 seconds over Roy, but pushing hard, the rally leader made this costly mistake, having to reverse back on track and race to the finish. Roy knew of the incident, and it was down to him to put in the stage of his season. The R5 vehicle seeming to suit him, and this monstrous final time was 13 seconds quicker than Softy, handing him rally victory by just 2 seconds. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be enough to win in the championship, these 2 men finishing level on points with Softy winning on countback. But it was a brilliant drive that'll set Roy up nicely for the new season. Phil knew if he could pass Zack for 3rd, he'd also beat Dom for 4th in the championship. Dom was stuck down in a fight for 7th, but to his relief, Bottle Job Bardwell, needing only to go a second quicker than Zack, instead found himself facing upside down. This incident dropping him to 6th and ending his season with a damper. Former 2-time champ Chris Thurgood would end the campaign without a podium finish, but this the best result of his season. Reducing Zack's advantage on the final stage by only 0.2, it wouldn't be enough to take 3rd. But he did hold off Dan, these 3 separated by only the 3 seconds. For the 3rd rally in a row, Luca would finish just 1 place above his fellow Manxman, both drivers having solid final stages, but Luca edging his rival to finish 7th overall. Chris Johnson won his 2nd Dirt 2 event, it had been a championship winning performance from him, finishing 10th overall, and keeping a close distance to the likes of Luca and Dom ahead. This result giving him the Dirt 2 title, Alex Safro and Alistair ultimately no match to Chris. It was a 2nd career victory for Roy, the closest winning margin of a rally in the league's history. 2nd was enough to secure the championship for Softy, while Zack was back in the podium places. Chris Thurgood just missing out by a couple of seconds himself, Dan was just a further second back in 5th, and it was a rally to forget once again for Luca, 7th overall despite his early rally promise. Chris Johnson was in 10th overall, the top Dirt 2 runner, this clinching him his first title. Jack was disappointed to be down in 13th, Alistair and Cumin taking podium finishes in Dirt 2, 17th and 18th overall. Feely and TC just missed out on scoring points in the main championship. There were 9 DNFs in the United States, another disastrous rally for Aiden. He'll be happy to see the back of this season. Marco's new co-driver didn't seem to change his fortunes. Once again, the German left empty-handed. Only total wins could separate Softy and Roy, having won in Poland, Australia, Argentina and Spain. These 4 victories for Softy were 2 more than Roy had managed. Zack took 3rd overall in his debut season. He'll be looking to push on from this next time out. Don was 4th and Phil only 5th, the better driver coming out on top in this battle. Luca, with aspirations on winning rallies and potentially a championship, will be after a big response next season. In Dirt 2, the top 3 all secured 2 wins each this season, but the remarkable consistency of Chris has him at the very top. In the end, a comfortable distance over his challengers. Jacko places 4th, a position familiar to him, whilst Joe jumped Dexter for 5th after a superb final rally. It truly has been a season to remember, the closest finish to a championship in the league's history so far. The last 6 weeks have produced thoroughly enjoyable events, and with the drivers now preparing for a full season in the R5 vehicles, the new campaign promises to be better than ever before. Both rounds this season in the R5s saw winning margins of just 6 and 2 seconds respectively, a vehicle that championship winner Softy is yet to taste success in. But the Englishman is champion once more. His 4 rally wins was enough to hand him the title, and convincing performances of the likes of Poland and Spain show exactly why he deserves this crown more than anyone else. Roy will be hungry to take the title next time out, whilst the ever-improving Zack, Luca and Chris will all fancy their chances too. Season 5 will take some beating, but the ingredients are all there for a quite remarkable Season 6.